So my name is Dave Shelpuck. I'm a senior account manager for Tethr. And joining me from beautiful Austin, Texas remotely is Tethr's head of customer success, Steve Trier. Steve, greetings from Minnesota.
Well, hey everybody, glad to be with you all. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I am a former Minnesotan, so I know it all well. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So what is Tethr? Tethr is a cloud-based AI platform that shines light and drives insights from a credit union's largest but darkest data set, Service Center member call data. What Steve and I are going to share with you today is how Tethr was able to partner with BCU, formerly Baxter Credit Union, to help them transform their service center into an insight center. So BCU came to us last year with some pretty noble goals. They wanted 95% of their transactions conducted through self-service channels. They wanted to grow their business 20% year over year for the next 5 years while maintaining the highest levels of member experience while maintaining strict operational optimization numbers. Now, their challenge was, BCU advised us that they felt that the tool set that they had did not provide sufficient level of insight to help them achieve these enterprise-wide goals. Now, BCU's challenges is not unique to BCU. Most of the credit unions we speak to, as well as most call centers we speak to, have a similar concern, and that is, despite the growth of the digital channel, many members still prefer to call the call center rather than self-serve. This results in millions of uncaptured data points that are not captured by the data system. And as a result of those conversations, members are providing valuable feedback, which the credit union itself is missing, for opportunities to offer new products and increase the member experience. Now, the problem is not the growth of the digital channels. As you can see here, 2.7 billion tweets per day from Twitter. But that is very, very small in comparison to the current spoken word channel, which on a daily basis is almost 500 billion words spoken. And of that, only 1% of those calls are ever analyzed or acted upon. And why is that? It's a sheer volume cost thing. There are so many calls, the costs are so high to analyze that, only 1% are analyzed. The other 99% of the calls in call centers, it's lost opportunity for the credit union and the call center, resulting in the businesses having to use tools like surveys to drive key KPIs, such as Net Promoter Score. Steve, can you share with us a little bit how Tethr was able to work with BCU to address this challenge as well as help them meet their goals?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just talk a little bit about what is Tethr, and then we'll kind of zero in on how BCU applied that. So as Dave's been talking to you, you're having conversations with your members every day. And what's being lost in that is this opportunity to uncover, there's things about the interaction. So there's kind of two really big idea insights that come out of here, which is, how did my interaction go? Did I provide my member a great experience? Did I give that in the lowest possible effort way so that I am increasing the loyalty and the relationship with my member? And in fact, obviously, through the loyalty, trying to influence my ability to grow my relationship through other products and services. But two, my members are calling me because they're probably trying to do something, or they've tried to do something somewhere else and couldn't do it, and now they're calling the phone channel. So they might have been in a branch, they might have been on a mobile app, they might have been on a website. All of that information comes to you through these interactions and these phone calls, and effectively we've built an engine underneath it to be able to take those interactions and turn them into really valuable insight. So Dave, if you want to jump forward, we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. Now, one of the other things that we want to make sure that you kind of understand is that not all of this insight comes from scratch, meaning we have what's called libraries of insight, things that you can effectively use out of the box and just turn on. One of those really critical libraries that we're talking about is called the effort drivers. Now, if you're familiar with the research that CEB did, the book that was written by Matt Dixon around effortless experience, what they found, right, is that when members have to exert due effort or feel effort, and they have to call you about an interaction, they actually have they actually become more disloyal in a sense. And so our relationship with CEB and Matt Dixon and team, we've actually been able to train Tethr to recognize due effort, recognize feel effort from the member side, but also help understand what agent behaviors actually bring that effort level down and increase that loyalty that we're talking about. And again, out of the box insight, and there's a ton of other types that we do. But let's talk about what a call looks like to just ground everybody in what happens. So here's a typical call. What you're seeing is every call is transcribed sentence by sentence, speaker by speaker. That's helpful. So if you have teams that are reviewing calls and you want to find things, that's great. You can obviously listen to this, you can read it. But at the end of the day, what's most important is you see the machine learning and the AI is auto-detecting events that are relevant to what's going on in your member experience and that member interaction that they're having with your agent. So as you can see, in the salmon colored box below, it's actually detected an event where the agent's on an outbound call saying this call is being recorded. And then the other thing you'll actually see is because everything's transcribed, it's searchable. And so in other words, very powerful in that the machine is listening for you, but if you need to find something quickly, you can search for it. The other thing we want to point out here is, as you guys would expect, if you're listening to calls, right, you're only getting 1%. Well, the machine is doing this on 100% of your calls. If you're relying on IVR data or disposition codes to understand what's going on in your calls, you know that those are limited data sets. They don't really tell you what happened in a call. And again, as you look across the summary of this call, you'll see that a machine is capturing a great deal of insight and making that accessible to you as an organization to improve that member experience. Again, super easy, it's all there, and we'll talk about what happens next. So Dave, let it kind of run through. So again, just showing the example from the beginning, everything's searchable, you can zero in on the thing that you care about most, and you can drill down right into what's going on to that customer, right? That member experience. I've got a member who's frustrated because they were trying to activate their account and they're actually looking at someone else, right? Really valuable insight that you can get. Now, how do teams like yours use this? So Dave, let's go ahead and jump forward. So what'll happen is that insight gets rolled up onto dashboards and reports that your team can access and use. Now, let's just run through this dashboard and go, what types of things do we see credit unions typically looking at? One, what's the number one reasons my members call, right? Again, disposition codes and IVR codes don't really uncover that. And Tethr, a machine, can uncover it and give it to you statistically so you know exactly what's driving those call volumes and what you need to be focused on. Two, what's driving member frustration? So in other words, if they're calling about this reason, where do I most often see frustration associated with those reasons? I can actually understand what's hurting my member experience. Channel switching. My member went to the mobile app, tried to do something, went to the branch, tried to do something, and it didn't work. Now they're calling me. I can, for the first time, uncover where my other channel failed that now my voice channel has to pick up and solve for. Recontact issues, right? You don't want to have more than one interaction. You want to have one solid, clean interaction. And the machine can actually help you understand what's driving recontact and, in effect, give you the tools to get to next call avoidance so that you can actually make sure that you're resolving for the things that drive lack of first call resolution and recontact issues. And maybe those recontact issues were a result of a channel switch as well. And down in the lower left on here, and then we'll move on. But you know, this is a really interesting thing. So your member calls you and says, I want to transfer money between accounts. Well, while that might sound like the reason for the call, what they actually find out in the call when the agent's talking to your member is, hey, my kid just graduated, or I'm buying a house, or I'm moving. That's a life event. And again, that's another type of insight that you can actually pull out of calls. You can actually get it at data. You'll actually have the member number they called in on. And we have companies who actually take that data, ship it directly into Salesforce, and then use that data in another system to generate even more value in the relationship. So these are all just different ways. So let's talk about BCU specifically. So big statement here at the beginning. We cut our analytics calls, our insights time by 56% to get a 300% lift by no changes of staff. What does that mean? What that means is their supervisors were listening to calls every week to understand what was going in those calls so they could uncover insights about the interaction, forget all the stuff that's going on about channel switching or other effort before the call. They're just trying to track that so they can do a better job of coaching their agents on how to handle these interactions. Well, Tethr's now telling them what to listen to. They're not having to listen to those calls. They're actually getting reports of very specific things that an agent can work on. So if an agent's having trouble with password resets, check, got that. If an agent's using a lot of uncertainty when it comes to wire transfers, understood. All of that gets dashboarded. Now, again, they're using it to increase first call resolution. So again, where was I not getting first call resolution? I was driving recontact. I can drill into that and understand and fix that. Member education. As you guys try to move to these different areas, you can actually proactively guide your customers. So ultimately, those are the types of things that today they're doing, and there's many, many more since then. But Dave, I'm going to let you kind of bring it home here.
So Steve, a lot of the benefits that Steve identified were operational and tactical in nature. I think one of the most significant statements made by BCU as a result of this experience is very strategic. And they felt that Tethr was able to build a foundation for their steering committee to identify top opportunities for making critical business decisions in the area of risk, compliance, new member experience, and the development of new products and services for the members. And with that, I thank you for your time. I will be in the back if anybody has any questions. I have copies of the case study if you'd like to see that. And with that, I will open it up to questions.
Well done, Dave.
Thanks, Mike.
Judges, who's going to take the first question? You guys going to? Sanjay is up first.
Is this done in real time?
Steve, it's not real time.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, so it's near real time. So effectively, when we get the call, that's when we process the call, and then we send that back to the portal with the insight on it.
Okay. What all is it integrated with? You mentioned Salesforce. What kind of credit union call center systems or things? What have you integrated this with?
Yeah, so today we have two native integrations that have just a wizard for a setup. One is Salesforce, the other one is Dynamics. But we also have an outbound webhook and an open API. And so we can, if you have an API in another system, we're able to map those APIs. And we've put it into data warehouses, data lakes, and other systems. We've even integrated it in one case with a Microsoft Power BI platform. So using those open APIs, we're able to integrate with multiple systems.
Can you share what you integrated at BCU?
At BCU, we are integrating, we're actually integrating the customer record, and I don't remember what system. I'm drawing a blank on that, and I'd have to go back and look at the name of the system that we're integrating. But I think we're actually integrating to a system where they analyze the data from multiple data sources.
Okay. Karan, you got 20 seconds.
Everybody here is resource strapped. What's the level of effort and time to actually get this done, rolled out at a credit union?
Yeah, wonderful question. So we have, like I said, there's two things we care about. One is high quality precision insight. Without that, you've got nothing. But two, it's ease of use. What you see here, we sat down with BCU. We worked with them for 2.5 days on site and trained an admin how to do what we do. But again, what we've said is a lot of this comes out of the box. So because we've worked with so many credit unions, there's a lot of insight that you'll just get on day one. So effectively, we're just sort of filling in gaps around things that are unique to your particular use case. And then we're showing you how to build the reports and dashboards. Now, that's an admin role that literally takes hours a week to maintain afterwards. And then the users we can train up in about 90 minutes and they become pretty proficient and they're able to navigate the entire portal and get the information that they need quite quickly. So we worked very, very, very hard to make the training easy, but make the consumption of the reports even easier.
Very cool. Well done, guys. Hey,
Thanks,
good
Mike.
job. Good job, guys.